What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Hardcore and the Casual podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and I'm joined with my co-host, Elijah, today. The retaining champion, because at 301, he got more predictions than me right, sadly.
Yes.
I've been dealing with this for a couple days now, trying to get over this, but it's very difficult. You know, I threw the Jonathan Martinez thing out there just as a Hail Mary in case he beat Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo won, but even if I picked Jose Aldo, you still would have won based off of the draw, and you still would have retained your title. So that didn't really matter in the end. So, I mean, how do you feel coming off of 301?
Man, I feel good. I feel like the expert that I am. I'm happy for this opportunity. Yes.
I'm disappointed in your opportunity. This was a way better card than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I gave it so much shit before the card actually happened. I wanted it to be a fight night. Still probably should have been a fight night. I'll stick by that one, but I mean, it did turn out very good. I didn't really get to watch too much of the prelims, but I did watch the whole main card.
Yeah.
And tons of knockouts, tons of submissions. It was pretty cool in my opinion. I mean, it turned out very, very well.
It happened to be a really great card. Like Justin said, he thought it was going to be a fight night. Should have been a fight night. I don't know. After watching it, I thought it was really good, and it overhyped itself, man. It went over the expectations.
Yeah, and it was real odd because I was sitting in Brick House, so I also had to deal with the Canelo fight that was on at the same time.
Yeah.
So they had the audio playing for the Canelo fight, so I didn't really get to hear too much of what was going on with the commentators and with the crowd. It was just kind of me just sitting there watching the fights, and I would tune back and forth with the Canelo fight every so often. And Canelo, granted, he was getting a licking in that fight. Yeah. I was watching that whole fight, and that kid was putting the work on Canelo. Yes. Canelo definitely won the fight, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he definitely got the work put on him. And I think that Canelo is degressing in his performance level. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's where he was at 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But so I was bouncing back and forth between the fights, but I was mainly paying attention to the UFC fights. But it was really weird not hearing anything, so I had to get the updates at the very end afterwards through social media and everything. I didn't know about the whole Anthony Smith, Victor Petrino thing where Bruce Buffer announced that Anthony Smith lost the fight and Victor Petrino was still undefeated and everything, and then he was like, oh, my bad, and then he corrected himself.
I just missed that part. That part was funny.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that happened until afterwards because I didn't have the audio playing for the UFC fights. And I didn't know that the entire crowd cleared out before Pantoja got his interview. Wow. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Brazil, you guys need to step up. You did this to Glover last year when Glover retired. The entire crowd cleared out before Glover got the chance to retire when they were in Brazil. And now they did this to Pantoja. Like, your guy won. Your guy won the fight, and you all just dipped out on him.
Champion.
I guess they were mainly there for Jose Aldo, so after the Jose Aldo fight, they kind of just got to just leave.
Yeah.
But, man, stick around, man. Like, it was such a juxtaposition, because I watched Backlash earlier in the day, the WWE Backlash, and that crowd in France was nuts for 5 hours straight. Yeah. The best crowd I've ever witnessed on an event, period. Mm-hmm. It was a soccer crowd at a WWE event, and it was nuts the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then I hear that the entirety of the UFC crowd in Brazil clears out, and I'm like, you guys must be getting fatigued by the UFC, the fact that you guys are leaving before the show ends every single time.
It's like, do you even care for the event?
Exactly. And I mean, it's ridiculous, and I think that these fans need to start sticking around for their guys.
And it was a good main event, too.
Exactly. I mean, it was a great main event. I mean, I thought that was an awesome fight. Yeah. I mean, whether you could say, like, Pantoja just wanted to hug him the whole time, but
it was a highly skilled fight.
Yes, but Irsig made it a fight. Irsig was the one that was trying to make it an actual brawl. He was trying to keep it on the feet until he didn't. We'll talk about that. That might have been the thing that cost him the fight. But, yeah, no, so the Brazil crowd, I think you guys need a break from having UFC fights. I mean, you guys used to be the best crowd every year.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching Brazil fights, and they were just phenomenal. Like,
you guys get a fight night from now on.
Yeah, exactly. But you guys are a little fatigued by the UFC, so I think that we need to move on from Brazil for a little while. But yeah, so we'll start from the bottom of the card and we'll make our way up and we'll review the whole show and then we'll give our predictions for Derek Lewis versus Nascimento.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean,
wait, do we do just the main event, co-main event?
We'll do the 3 for Derek Lewis.
No, for 301.
Oh, for 301? No, we did the whole card. The whole main card.
Wow.
So yeah, we did. So starting with Paul Craig versus Caio Borralho.
Awesome fight.
You had Paul Craig, I had Caio Borralho. It was the one fight on the card that I won. It was the one fight where I said, no way Paul Craig is winning this fight. And he didn't. They lasted 2 rounds. It went 2 rounds. It went 1 round and then 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the second round. And Caio Borralho pushed him up against the cage, got that clean knockout, slept Paul Craig right to the mat.
Ooh.
It was a phenomenal performance by Caio Borralho. And I think Paul Craig is probably at the point in his career where he should probably wrap it up. Because
hang the gloves up, bro.
I think it's about time. I think you should go do some submission grappling, IBJ or IWBJ. What's it called?
Even for the UFC, they have their little matches.
Exactly. Go grapple with what's his name? Paul Craig? No, not Paul Craig. That's the guy. That Craig Jones.
Craig
Jones versus Paul Craig. The battle of the Craigs.
Who's the better Craig?
Who's the better Craig? Who's the better submission grappling Craig? I think that would be the better route for Paul Craig for this point forward. But Caio Borralho, on the other hand, he's now placed 13th in the division, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that he needs a top-tier talent. I want to see Paulo Costa versus evil Paulo Costa. Because Caio Borralho looks exactly like Paulo Costa, but with a neck tattoo that makes him look evil. So I think you do Paulo versus evil Paulo, and you get it out of the way after Sean Strickland beats Paulo Costa's ass at 302.
We'll see.
We'll see about that one. That'll be a new prediction for like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that. But yeah, so Paul Craig got knocked out by Caio Borralho. Not much else to add. I mean, it was a good fight, but Caio kind of controlled the whole thing with his striking, and Paul Craig really didn't get it to the ground much. So it was a good fight, though. Moving up the card, Michel Pereira versus Ior Potieria. Man, did Michel deserve to get disqualified? That's the question.
From the look of it,
he didn't. It was a submission, round 1, 54 seconds. There was the knockdown, big knockdown right away. Then he did the backflip over the top of his legs, landed a knee on a grounded opponent. That's illegal. Should he have been disqualified?
No, because it's not like it was a full knee to the face. He hit shoulder, collarbone, chest. Like it wasn't too much. If you look at it live, when you're watching it live, it looks very legal. And it didn't look like it was more than the knockdown he had just got right before that. So, no disqualification.
And I think that's the exact conversation that the refs were having on the outside, because after the fight happened, they had a meeting outside the cage, and they were kind of talking about it a bit. I think that's kind of what was brought up in that was... yeah, but like, did it land on his face? Did it land on his collarbone? We're in Brazil. How would this crowd react if we made this a no contest? Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lot of things going through their minds in the minute that they talked about it. But I mean, that submission though was crazy because he caught him in that submission. He let go. Potieria went whoo right to the ground. So I don't think you take it away from him, but I mean.
You give him that warning.
I told you before, in our prediction video, I said, Michel Pereira needs to cut the BS when he's fighting. Because that almost got him disqualified.
Yeah.
And this has happened before. This exact thing has happened before. He needs to cut all that stuff out when he's inside of the cage. Because it's costing him good fights.
Yeah.
Didn't cost him this time, but it came really close to costing him.
Yeah.
But we both had Michel Pereira. So we both got this right. What does this do about Ior Potieria on the Chimaev Whitaker card, though? Because he's supposed to fight Shira. I think that's his name. He's new too, but
he better recover faster. Shira got something coming for him.
Yeah. I think they probably replaced him with someone else, because that was a I mean, a submission you could come back like right away,
Yeah.
but like he did get knocked down beforehand, and I think they're gonna look at that and go, you can't fight on that card.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Michel Pereira, big win. I mean, this man, I think 8-fight win streak now. He's in the top 15 now. He's actually placed one below Kaliyo Bahalio, I think.
Yeah.
I think that they either run it against each other, that would be cool, or they put Michel Pereira against a higher ranked opponent, because I think he needs a higher ranked opponent. He's knocking these guys out in the first round.
Yeah.
He needs someone to actually give him a good fight. Who that is, I don't know. I think, to me, Michel Pereira versus Izzy would be a lot of fun. He's not at that point yet where he gets an Izzy fight, but that would be a really fun fight, in my opinion. So, moving up, you probably have some opinions on this fight, so I'll listen to you talk about this. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino.
Anthony Smith. Anthony Lionheart Smith. No doubt in my mind did I think Anthony Smith was going to lose that fight. I knew exactly that Anthony Smith was going to win that fight. I said it to get in your head so you could pick Anthony Smith, but I was always going for Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith made us proud. Whew.
But you ended up picking Vitor Petrino with me. You still won, though.
Yeah.
So you still won. But, Vitor Petrino was piecing him up on the feet for a little while and then decided to shoot a double leg. Why? The world will never know. Because you were winning the battle on the feet. And there was no reason to shoot that double leg. You were beating him up on the feet. And then you shoot a double leg and you sell it for yourself. Vitor Petrino shot the double leg, got caught in the guillotine, and then rather than fighting the hands instantly, he decides to slam Anthony Smith to the ground, which 90% of the time means you're going to get choked out. You don't slam, you go for the hand fighting first. Yeah. And then if you need to, you slam a motherfucker on their head.
Rookie mistake.
It was a rookie mistake. And I think earlier in the night, there was a guy that was in a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And the guy just picked him up and then just threw him head first into the ground. Like he just brought him, and the guy's head spiked off the ground. That was brutal, but like that actually broke up the choke.
Yeah.
This did not break up this choke. Slamming him on the ground basically put Anthony Smith in the exact position that he wanted to be.
Yeah, because basically now you don't have, like, you're not grounded anymore. Like, you've lost your center of balance.
Exactly.
He owns it.
And Anthony Smith then subs him. I mean, Vitor Petrino tapped fairly quickly when he got to the ground. Yeah, I mean, the veteran shows why he's a veteran. I think that's the best way to explain it. Anthony Smith showed why he's a veteran of the sport.
There's levels to this game.
There is levels. And Vitor Petrino, it's not for a lack of skills that he lost. I think Vitor Petrino is probably better all around than Anthony Smith, on the feet and on the ground. It's a matter of tactics and technique when it comes to shooting that double leg. The tactic was wrong. You didn't need to shoot that double leg. The technique for shooting the double leg also wrong. You don't shoot a double leg into the person and then let them grab your neck. If you're going to do it, you got to drive through either quickly or you got to put your head in a position where you can't get grabbed into a guillotine. And he put himself directly in the position for that to happen.
Man, he's going to move himself to one of the mid cards playing like that.
I think he is. I think he needs to take another unranked fight now after that. But yeah, no, I do think that he'll get himself back. It's just the same problem with Steve Erceg in the main event. It's a lack of experience at the top of the card. It's a lack of experience going in there with someone that is as skilled as the person they're fighting. He just didn't have that experience, and it cost him strategy-wise. It cost him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anthony Smith, big sub, enjoyed it. I mean, I was going crazy when it happened, honestly. The entire place around me was going crazy too. There was a couple guys at the bar behind me at Brick House, and they were all going nuts when it happened too. So it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
But moving up to the last fight where the Brazilian crowd stayed to watch, Jose Aldo versus Jonathan Martinez. At this point, I don't even know how. I swear they used to pronounce it Jonathan Martinez, but now I think it's Martinez.
Yeah.
however you pronounce it, he lost. He lost.
He didn't lose
not bad.
too
No,
bad.
It was a competitive fight. It was a very competitive fight, and he looked very good in the fight. He's just fighting a world champ.
Not even that. It's just that you're the younger guy by a significant amount. Give more. Put more output. You have youth on your side. Take advantage of that. Jose Aldo's a little bit older. He was getting you with those veteran strikes, veteran moves, things that he knows.
Clean combos.
But again, use your athleticism, use your youth, attack him. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, and that combo that Jose Aldo threw, where he threw like a body shot, a left hook, a right hook, a body shot, and then ended it with a knee to the head.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That entire sequence was nuts. It was a very good fight. I was looking back and forth at the screen at this point with the Canelo fight, but I was trying to focus mostly on the Jose Aldo fight. But then I think they went to the ground in the last round. In the third round, they went to the ground and then just kind of cuddled on the ground for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So then at that point I went, all right, I'm watching the Canelo fight. So then I think that's almost exactly when the knockdown happened, when Canelo knocked down his opponent. So that made the entire place go nuts too. It was real fun watching both of them at the same time. The place was constantly just going, oh, and you never knew what TV they were looking at. It's just like, I'm watching the UFC fight. What did they say? Oh, it's the Canelo fight. It's like one of those. But it was a lot of fun. Jose Aldo got the win. Decision. Not much to say about it. He put himself back in the rankings. I think Martinez was 14th. Jose Aldo got placed at number 8.
How does he do it?
I don't know. I don't know how that works. They did put him above Rob Font, which Jose Aldo did beat Rob Font 3 years ago or 2 years ago at this point. But last time I checked, you put Alex Perez over Makayev, and that fight happened a month ago, and Makayev beat Alex Perez. So I don't know how these rankings work anymore. These rankings are crazy at this point. I don't know. Can't figure them out. It's up to the will of the UFC at this point. Can't figure out how it works. You got anything else to say about Jose Aldo? You think he makes it back to the title?
Absolutely not.
No?
We can cut that conversation. Absolutely not.
No conversation.
Nah.
He never makes it back. He would have to run through the people that he's already fought, like Piotr Jan, guys like that. Because those are the guys that are above him, people that he's already lost to in the division. I just don't see him being able to beat any of those guys if he couldn't beat them the first time. But big win. Nothing else to say about it, though.
Surprised he didn't retire.
Again. Because it's like Merab and Piotr Jan are guys that are above him. These are guys that we've already seen fight him.
Yeah.
There's no reason to see it again. So we move up to the main event where we're going to argue. We're going to have an argument about this. Because Steve Erceg won that fight, and he got fucking
Pantoja
robbed.
won that fight. I had it 4-1.
I now have it 4-1 Erceg after knowing what I know now. You have it 4-1 Pantoja. I have it 4-1 Erceg.
Yes.
And at worst, 3-2 Erceg for my... So, basically, first round,
At
Pantoja.
worst, definitely a 3-2. At worst, definitely.
First round, Pantoja.
Yes.
I'll acknowledge it. First round, Pantoja won. Whatever.
Second round, definitely Erceg.
Definitely Erceg's round, second round.
Third round
was the iffy round.
Pantoja.
We'll talk about it. That's the round where I'm gonna try and convince you that the third round was Erceg's round. The fourth round, definitely Erceg's round. That I had fourth round Erceg.
I had it a tie. I had that round a tie.
There's no ties.
Fourth round.
No ties.
Fourth round. That's
no.
It could go either way.
It was fourth round Erceg.
Fifth
Erceg
round
landed the more strikes in the fourth round, and I think there was a lack of grappling in that round, which really put me over the edge that Erceg won that round.
Yeah.
And then fifth round is another swing round.
Definitely Pantoja. Definitely Pantoja.
I don't know about that, man, because Erceg landed the bigger damaging strikes in that round, and I'm going. I'm leaving this in. Get over here.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, that's gonna get a shot.
All right, he's gone.
He's gone. That's staying in. was battling a fly if you couldn't see it, or a moth. That was a better fight than Jose Aldo versus Jonathan Martinez. Back to what we were saying though. So let me read you. Since we're in agreement on a couple rounds and we're disagreeing on mainly the third and the fifth round.
Yes.
Let me read you the unified rules of MMA.
Let me put this out there.
Go for it.
I am sick that the one judge had it 49-46. It definitely should have been a 48-47 all the way.
Okay.
What are we saying?
So, I am going to read you the unified rules of MMA.
Yes.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
So, the first criteria, it says, effective striking / grappling shall be considered the first priority of round assessments.
Yes.
Effective aggressiveness is a plan B and should not be considered unless the judge does not see any advantage in the effective striking / grappling realm. Cage control is plan C. Should only be needed when all other criteria are 100% not even for both competitors. This will be an extremely rare occurrence. So now, let me read you the first criteria. Effective striking / grappling. That's the first criteria. Before anything else, it's the one that you're supposed to judge the fight on. And if it's completely even in this criteria, then you move to the next criteria.
Yeah.
So this is the first criteria to look at, and it's the most important one. So, legal blows that have immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of a match, with the immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative impact. So what that says is that if you do damage in one strike, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
It says it right here. This is the official unified rules. It says the immediate, it even has it in capital letters, the word immediate. The immediate weighs in more than the cumulative. Wait, there's more. Successful execution of takedown, submission attempts, reversals, and achievement of advantageous positions that produce immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute to the end of a match, with the immediate weighing more heavily than the cumulative.
Yeah.
It shall be noted that a successful takedown is not merely a changing of position, but the establishment of an attack from the use of the takedown. It says it right here. It shall be noted that a successful takedown is not merely a change of position, but the establishment of an attack from the use of a takedown.
Yes.
Top and bottom position fighters are assessed more on the impactful, effective result of their actions, more so than the position. This criteria will be the deducting factor in a high majority of decisions when scoring a round. The next two criterias must be treated as a backup and used only when effective striking / grappling is 100% equal in a round. That's what the official criteria is for scoring a round. So in my opinion, if you take that entire thing, the person that landed the most damage in round 3 and round 5 was Irsik. Especially round 3, because that was the round where he made Pantoja bloody.
Okay. Let me read you the stats for round 1 through 3. Significant head strikes. Pantoja 54, Irsik 80. Significant body strikes. Pantoja 28, Irsik 13. Takedowns, 9 of 19 for Pantoja, 1 of 6 for Irsik. Ground control, 5 minutes, 44 seconds for Pantoja, 15 seconds for Irsik. And I say that in cahoots that in the earlier rounds, Irsik was able to catch Pantoja, but in those rounds, Pantoja showed off his championship experience when being able to have counters, being able to get out of sticky situations, and like you said with that, using his takedowns and getting certain angles and positions to kind of stop Irsig's flow towards him. And you have to use that in scoring because it's like
you don't. It's not a part of the scoring.
But here's the thing.
It's not.
Irsig's attacking him, and Pantoja's still in the fight. He's still throwing good strikes and harmful strikes. Maybe it doesn't show much damage and bleeding, but he's still throwing enough and good enough strikes to show that this is a back and forth competitive fight. And the numbers tell us that.
But getting a takedown and not doing anything with it does not mean that you want to fight.
But Pantoja got his back. He got his back, and he landed strikes.
In the third round, he half got his back, and then Irsig managed to get back to his feet.
But that's just the third round.
I know.
You got to talk 1, 2, and 3.
We don't, because we already agreed that round 1 went to Pantoja, round 2 went to Irsig, and round 4 went to Irsig. So really the only round that really matters is round 3. If Irsig won round 3, then he won the whole fight, because he would have won the middle 3 rounds. And that's what I'm saying, is that he won rounds 2, 3, and 4, and possibly even 5. Because that third round was the round where he landed that elbow that busted Pantoja up, and he was bleeding. And the reason why they gave that round to Pantoja is because he got a takedown that he didn't do anything with. He didn't put a submission attempt on him. There was no submission attempt.
But Irsig was fighting back, and Pantoja was landing small strikes. Let me read you.
But that's not the point. It says the immediate is weighed more heavily than the cumulative impact. So Pantoja...
But you have to score it for the champ, though. You have to score it for the champ.
It doesn't say that anywhere.
Well, hold on. But you have to know, in terms of UFC, you have to score it more in favor. And this is with any fight. They score it more in favor of the champ and the fact that he has a home advantage. He's in his hometown, the crowd reactions. You can even say that with the Volk and the Islam fight. The home advantage boosts the fight in the way it looks. You have to go by what the judges are thinking live. You're watching it from an outside perspective. You're able to watch it after the fight. But during the fight, when you have all the crowd reactions, you have the people there, you have the judge, the pressure, you're looking at it like, okay, Irsig's damaging him, but is Pantoja fighting back? Yes. Is he doing enough to remain champ? Yes. And when you look at the numbers, Pantoja has done enough to remain champ, kind of what Islam has done.
But these guys are trained on this criteria. These guys have studied and know this criteria by heart, the one that I just read you. And it says right here that the immediate weighs more than the cumulative impact. So Pantoja might have taken him down and landed a few.
He had more strikes.
That doesn't matter.
More significant strikes overall.
Whatever, leave him there.
He's right in front of you.
Where? Got his ass. But we had the same conversation with Strickland versus DDP.
But they were both landing good strikes.
I am going by the actual rules of fighting. The actual rules. You're just saying, oh, well, I think that he won because he landed more strikes. I'm going by the legit rules.
When I watch the fight, and I'm looking at Irsig, and I'm looking at Pantoja have, they're fighting. I see Irsig. He's throwing the jab. He really was, from rounds 1 through 3, he wasn't finding success with the jab until the later rounds. I feel like in the later rounds, his jab was hitting. It was looking more crisp because Pantoja was tired. But in those rounds, he would throw some hits. He would get kind of close, and Pantoja would be right there. Pow, pow, body shot, right to the headshot. They would break away. It was those exchanges where you can see that Pantoja still has the overhead of the striking.
The problem is Pantoja didn't have effective striking at
did.
all. No. If you go... I want everyone to go and watch a video for me.
Is defensive striking considered effective striking?
Because Pantoja just ran forward and threw with his hands down like this, and he landed for a takedown.
And he landed.
But he didn't land as much or as hard as Irsig.
You can't say as much. He landed more.
Irsig landed harder strikes, better strikes, cleaner strikes. Pantoja always threw strikes just to get in there and shoot for a takedown. That is not effective striking. Effective striking is making the other person bleed.
Do you believe Sean Strickland had effective striking against Dracus?
Not as much as Dracus, because Dracus hit the heavier blows. And this
I don't
says
think so.
The rules. I'm reading you the rules.
But you have,
the rules
but also
say
Pantoja's
the
chin.
immediate The immediate damage weighs more than cumulative damage. So
I think the only damage was the eyebrow.
Cumulative damage weighs less than immediate damage. If I hit you with a big elbow and make you bleed, that should weigh more than you hitting me with 20 strikes.
Granted, he never knocked him down.
That doesn't matter.
That does matter. If he didn't knock him down,
it does not.
Not being able to not knock somebody down through harder strikes definitely matters. Because if it lands a knockdown, it weighs even more.
But it doesn't matter because it was still Irsig landed the biggest strikes of the fight, and those biggest strikes of the fight were in the 3rd and the 5th round, and yet those are the 2 rounds that he lost.
Let me read you the full fight.
Hold on. Everyone go watch the Weasel's video on the breakdown for this, and you'll get my exact reaction to it. Go watch his video. The channel is called The Weasel, and he basically broke down small, medium, large strikes. The heaviest strikes weigh the most in a fight. Irsig landed a heavy strike in round 3 and a heavy strike in round 5, and everything else was medium and small strikes by Pantoja and Irsig. Irsig landed the most damage in 3 and 5, and Pantoja, every time that he got a takedown, he didn't do anything with it.
Honestly,
he didn't land strikes on the ground, and he didn't go for submission attempts.
I took your advice on this card. Because you said I don't score fights round after round. I scored this fight live round after round after round. And when I was watching,
I respect that.
And when
you
I
just got round 3 wrong.
No. But when I was watching the fight live, when I watched it live, and I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, okay, some people are complaining about the wrestling. Some judges, some commentators had it 3-1 either way, 4-1 either way. And as I'm watching it, and I'm looking at the exchanges, the fight, at minimum, I can't say it was a 4-1. I can't say it was a 4-1. I believed that at first, but it's definitely a 3-2 because each round was competitive and each round could be given to either one of them. And when I look at that, and when I look at how hard they each fought every round, I had to look at the fight from a whole entire picture. And I think that had Irsig been able to capitalize a little more and even get just one knockdown through the entire fight, no matter what happened with Pantoja, you could have given them that fight.
But it shouldn't matter because I'm not looking at any of the other rounds. See, the 5th round, Irsig shot for a takedown and screwed himself up in the 5th round. If he didn't shoot for that takedown in the 5th round and he stayed on the feet, he probably would have won that fight because he probably would have won the 5th round because Pantoja ended up taking that takedown that Irsig hit him with. He Granby rolled through it and then laid on top of him for the rest of the round. That's what won Pantoja round 5. If Irsig didn't go for that takedown, Irsig would have won round 5. He would have won the fight. So that was the strategic error that Irsig did wrong, was shooting that takedown in the 5th round. He didn't need to. He should have just kept it on the feet, and then he probably would have won. I'm talking about the 3rd round because the 3rd round is the swing round that means the most. That's the most important round. And I think that an elbow that bloodies someone up is more important than a takedown where the guy gets back up. Because Pantoja didn't do anything with that takedown. He had
a big knee though. He had 2 big knees.
He had ground control time. He laid on top of him in half guard. He got half of a back take, and then that let Irsig get back up. Irsig got back to his feet, and then they started striking again. That's in that 3rd round. That takedown shouldn't matter because, as I stated here, the top and bottom position fighters are assessed more on the impactful effects resulting of their actions. Bottom and top position fighters. So if Pantoja didn't land anything and didn't attempt for any submissions, then that takedown shouldn't even be looked at as a takedown.
True.
It should be looked at as a wash.
But you have to look at it like this. In terms of the ground control, you have to look at it as, Pantoja spent 8 minutes on the ground, Irsig 32 seconds. You got to look at it like the reversals, the positioning, what he did. It seemed like when he did go to the ground, or the one time he actually did got a takedown, it wasn't effective like you were saying. But when Pantoja did it, it threw him off his game. And when I look at that more as effective concerned of the way the strikes were placed, the way the exchanges kind of moved. You feel what I'm saying?
So you're adding rules.
I'm not adding
You're
rules.
adding rules. I
I'm not
read you
adding
the
rules.
official rules.
Look at the total
rules.
strikes, total significant strikes.
But like I said, the immediate weighs more than the cumulative. So you can throw 100 strikes at me. You can hit me with 100 strikes. If I make you bleed with one of mine, then my one strike is more important than your 100.
But
That's
this helps,
what the rules say.
But the strikes help Irsig in one department, the head strikes. I mean, Pantoja, pretty even signature strikes. Pantoja up like 10. Head strikes, you'd have to give it to Irsig because he did land the bigger head strikes. He landed more head strikes, but Pantoja landed more body strikes, 33 to 16, 17 leg strikes to 8, 75 head strikes to 87. Irsig up 125, significant strikes to 111. Significant strikes. And significant strikes matter more because they are the more damaging fights. So if this is what is recorded, you have to go by the notes.
If you say so. But I am reading you the official rules, and the official rules say that elbow in the third round should matter more than the takedown that he didn't do anything with or any of his 20 punches that he landed. But it's happened now. Pantoja won the fight. Irsig will probably end up getting back to a title fight one day because he is a very good fighter. At least you would admit that, right?
Yes. And we can agree to disagree because you thought...
Oh, he's back. It's whatever.
Because you thought that Dreykus won, and I thought Pantoja won. So we got to agree to disagree because now we're even on those terms.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm looking at the official rules. You're just going off of your fantasy world. It's fine. But at the end of the day, Irsig's a very good fighter. Pantoja is one of the best in the world. And there's nothing else to really add to that. I mean, it was a fight that happened. Some people say one way, some people say it the other way. If you want my opinions, go watch the Weasel's video. If you want his opinions, then just rewatch what you just heard from whatever he was talking about. So yeah, no, good fight, good card all around. I very much did enjoy this card. Didn't give it as much credit as it's deserved. But I think that's all I want to say about this card right now. Do you want to just move on to give our predictions for the Derek Lewis card next week?
Yeah, let's skip straight to it.
All right, so for this Derek Lewis Nascimento card, we're going to do predictions for Alonzo Menafield versus Carlos Olberg. We're going to do Joaquin Buckley versus the dude that I just learned the name of that I've already forgotten, Nassultan Rozaboyev. Nassultan Rozaboyev. And then Derek Lewis versus Nascimento. So, do you want to give your prediction for Alonzo Menafield versus Carlos Olberg? Go right ahead, champ.
I'll go Carlos Olberg.
You're going with Carlos Olberg? Fuck. I'm going with Carlos Olberg, too.
All right.
So we'll be even on that one. Okay, Joaquin Buckley versus Rozaboyev.
Rozaboyev's record?
34-8-2 and 2 no contests. Joaquin Buckley is 18-6.
And Rozaboyev coming off a win or a loss?
Rozaboyev is coming off a win. I think he's had one win inside of the UFC. It was the knockout that I just showed you before the podcast.
And Buckley's coming off a loss?
Buckley's coming off a win over Vicente Luque back at the Atlantic City card.
Oh, I got Buckley.
You got Buckley? I got Rozaboyev.
Bad.
So we'll be split on that one. So there's definitely going to be an interesting matchup to decide who's going to be champ. But we'll move up and we'll give our prediction for Derek Lewis versus Nascimento. Probably
Lewis.
one of the most 50-50 fighters in the world, Derek Lewis. Yes. 27-12. Was knocking everyone out for a while, then started getting knocked out for a while. Got his ass?
Got him.
Oh, yeah, he's dead. All right, now that he's dealt with. So Nascimento is on a 3-fight win streak, I think. He's had like one loss in the UFC, and it was by knockout. And it was Chris Daukaus.
Yeah.
I think if Chris Daukaus can knock out Nascimento, I think Derek Lewis can. But Nascimento is known for his grappling, and Derek Lewis hasn't done great against grapplers recently. He had Sergey Spivak took him down and controlled him. He had he's right there. Jahilton Almeida, I don't know how I forgot that name. Jahilton Almeida took him down and held him down for 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So Derek Lewis hasn't been doing great against wrestlers lately. Nascimento is 11-1 with 1 no contest. Derek Lewis 27-12 with 1 no contest. See, the problem is if I pick Nascimento and then Derek Lewis wins, and I don't want to draw with you because then you're going to retain that title. So now I got to pick strategically.
It's never coming off. Never.
I think I'm going to go with Derek Lewis too, just so that I have that real good shot at beating you for that title. We'll have Joaquin Buckley versus Ruzaboyev as our one fight that we differ on, and that'll be the deciding factor. So I'll go with Derek Lewis too. I do think Nascimento has the capability to take Derek Lewis down and control him for 5 rounds. 5 rounds is going to be the main event. So you probably take him down and control him for 5 rounds. But I'm going to go with Derek Lewis being able to get a knockout sometime within that period. Because if Chris Daukaus can do it, I think that Derek Lewis could probably do it too.
Yeah.
So, that's our rundown. We've got Joaquin Buckley versus Ruzaboyev. He's got Buckley. I got Ruzaboyev. We'll see who ends up winning that one. That'll be the deciding factor to figure out who's going to be champ next week. We've basically run down. I think you wanted to talk about one more thing, so I'll give you your opportunity. I don't know much about this. I didn't hear about it until right now. He told me about it, so whatever you know about it, go right ahead and tell the people.
So, I wonder if everyone should heard about Ryan Garcia testing positive for Osterin, I believe it was. And with his recent fight with Devin Haney, I don't think Ryan Garcia is a cheater. I think that someone may have gave him something where he had tested positive. I think regardless of the fact, he was still going to beat Devin Haney. There was an update saying because he took multiple tests leading up to the fight, so he would have tested before, and he only tested like 0.1 billionth of a milligram, and they pretty much cleared him, as what I saw per Instagram. So, yeah.
So is the fight gonna become like a no contest, or is it gonna stay?
They're gonna keep it.
They're gonna keep it.
Yeah, because of how bad he lost.
I didn't hear anything about this. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not gonna give my opinion. I don't like talking about drug cheats because. You never know if they did take it or not. I think John Jones is one of those guys who probably knew what he was taking when he took it. But there are a lot of guys that have popped that I think that they got tainted with supplements. I mean, TJ Dillashaw is another one that I think definitely knew.
I don't give TJ off the hook.
No, I think he knew what he was taking.
Yeah,
I think he's one of those guys that knew what he was taking. But there are a couple guys. Chael Sonnen is another notorious one that comes out all the time now, saying, "Oh, I was juiced up on so many things. I was like a
Tropicana,
Tropicana, like producing plant, stuff like that." But I do think there's some guys like I think Anderson Silva popped one time. He was probably one of those guys that didn't know what he was taking. There's a couple times like that, but I don't like to talk too much about PED usage or anything like that because you just never know. You never know, and you don't want to blame someone if they didn't know what they were taking. Everyone's going to make the excuse. You never know who's actually telling the truth. So, so that's the whole rundown. We talked about 301. We've talked about the Derek Lewis fight coming up. Do you got anything else to say before we get out of here?
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. We have been talking for 45 minutes now, so I guess we talked. There's probably a lot of that talking about the Usyk fight.
Yes.
But I mean, there's a lot of talked about in that. I didn't think that main event was going to be as good as it was, but it was a very good fight, and it was a very good card, and I very much enjoyed it. I didn't give it as much credit as it deserved. I will give it its credit now. 301 was 301. It was not a fight night. It was a pay-per-view. I didn't pay for it. But I didn't know it was going to be as good as it was, Sometimes a fight card turns out like that, Sometimes you get a really good card that turns out shitty. Sometimes you get a really bad card that turns out good. Yeah. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Elijah, for joining us. This has been the Hardcore and the Casual Podcast. My name is Justin. That has been Elijah. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.